Hey everyone, Steve here, and this is going to be a video documenting my build on the Master Grade GP02. If you're not sure what that mobile suit is, it's this ugly monstrosity. So I just finished making a new Camo mask set. Obviously you can't see it on camera, but this is what the pieces all look like. And I tested it out on the shield. This was an old snap fit of mine that wasn't painted or anything. I'd actually put it in a plastic bag and stuffed it into storage. So I decided to use the shield as a test piece to test out the pattern. This is like a winter camo type scheme where it's like a off-white paint scheme with a dark gray patterns. As you can see, I also did some weathering on it, and after doing all this I kind of decided I kind of liked what I was doing with this and decided to build the whole kit. And if you guys are wondering where you can get this masking set, you can find it on Facebook. I'm going to link in the description. Basically it's just Camo masks on Facebook. In this page I've done several little tutorials on weathering, and I post my new patterns as they're available. And if you want to know how to purchase this stuff, you just jump over to the shop and it'll load up all these patterns. And like here we've got the water camo, and zoom in here, kind of a sample of what that could look like, which would like look great on one of the aquatic mobile suits or something. And yep, here's like the digital camo, desert style 1, the next page, camo style 2, a tiger stripe, and this winter camo will be up shortly. I'm going to do it in a couple sizes. If you want to stay up on all this stuff, go ahead and like Camo masks on Facebook, and you'll get all kinds of Gundam goodness in your news feed from time to time. So this kit's a huge pain. It is 1998 release. It's actually the 13th Master Grade ever to be released, and it is absolutely full of seam lines that are just a huge pain. So I'm going to be chipping away at this kit, getting the seam lines cleaned up and putting together parts. So I'm not going to do everything all at once. I'm going to do like sections and get it all painted and weathered. The first part I'm going to be working on are the big jetpack thingies. There's just something very odd looking about this kit, but I think with a really awesome paint scheme all weathered up, it could look pretty awesome. I'm definitely not going to do like the red, blue, yellow Gundam color scheme on this. Vary the colors up a bit, make it a complete custom, completely ignore that color scheme and just do whatever I feel like. So I'm going to add another chain to the shield down here on this bottom section. How I did the chain to get it rusty looking: first I sprayed it with some Mr. Metal primer, because it's one of these metal chains you get at the craft store. Then I painted it with Mr. Color Steel, and then I just dipped it in this enamel light rust wash and just let that dry for a while. And to get it to attach to the shield like so, I'm going to show you actually how I did that. So I also got these at the craft store in the jewelry section. They're like little clasps or something for making necklaces and stuff, I think. I don't really know. But basically that's what I'm going to use to attach it to the shield, and it's very simple. So basically I'm just going to bend this kind of like a shape like that. It's not too difficult, but doing this on camera is extremely difficult. First thing I'm doing is kind of straightening out these bits, and then just loop it around that last loop. Now I'm going to go ahead and squeeze this closed. Alright, then using like a sharp pointed edge, you want to go ahead and create little indents as where you actually want those to go into, and go ahead and drill a hole. Now I've already figured out what size drill bit I want to use, but you want to start small and kind of work up if you need to, and just go ahead and test fit. And there we go. Now you're probably going to want to glue these into place. You can either use super glue or epoxy. So you just go ahead and mix the epoxy together. It's a 2-part mix using a very small amount. Go ahead and dab a little bit into that little hole, and a pair of tweezers are probably a good idea here. And there we go. Give that about 10-15 minutes to really start to cure. Alright, so I've been painting for a while. What I'm going to do now is do some dry brushing on these inner frame parts. Right now they have a good gloss coat on them to protect them. I'm going to do some dry brushing with some Citadel steel, and then hit them with a flat coat, and then I could start to assemble the big thruster thingies. So I've also got parts to the arm painted up in some steel. It's not focusing, and also this little thruster part. So I need to do some washes and stuff on this, and when I'm ready I'm going to go ahead and apply some chipping fluid to that, and then paint it with the primary colors. And down here I've also painted the verniers. I painted this in some alclad steel and did some light misting of some old rust, and then did some Tamiya clear black, or the smoke darkened the inside and the outer edge. Then hit that with a flat coat because that smoke is a gloss and I don't want it to be glossy. So I'm going to go ahead and start to dry brush these parts. I'm going to do this kind of quickly. There we go. Just make it look like it's been chipped and worn a little bit. This won't be that visible once it's inside the little thruster pack thingy. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of the parts and then hit those with a flat coat. Alright, so these parts are finished. I applied a flat coat to these here, so they're good for now. These are good as well. Just wanted to plug this in, kind of get an idea of what this is gonna look like. It's looking cool, liking that. So what I just did also was sprayed the armor parts that are ready. I mean the ones that have the steel painted on them. And I sprayed those with a layer of the acrylic fluid, the Worn Effects chipping fluid, and that fluid has dried. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to paint the first base coat, which is just a dark gray, so that I can start to apply the winter camo here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and get those parts all finished up. I also did another chain, and this is kind of drying right now. What I'm planning to do with that in a little bit is actually wrap it around this chain here, just to give it a cooler little effect. So I'm going to go ahead and paint these up with some gray, and then start to apply some stencils. Alright, painted these up with some dark gray. Forgot to mention I needed to mask off that inner frame part, all that mechanical detail in there. So yeah, now I'm going to go ahead and start to apply some of my winter camo masks. And this is always super easy. I'll just go ahead and lift up a piece and start to apply them. So I didn't apply them very densely on the shield, mostly because this is a very large piece and it was getting kind of tedious. But I might apply it a little more densely on the kit. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do the rest off camera so I can actually work a bit easier. And as you can see, we've got the masks applied and ready to paint. So the main color is a winter whitewash. There are a couple ways to kind of do it. The way I'm approaching it is I'm using flat white. I'm mixing in just a tiny bit of neutral gray, and then I am kind of doing like a highlighting technique where I come through and I thin that mixture down as much as possible, and I come through and do like a highlighting technique and just focus on the big larger panels and kind of do very, very thin coats on the corners and edges to give them the appearance of being shaded. So I'm actually going to mix up a bunch of that so that I have a consistent color for the whole kit, and paint up these few pieces. So here we've got our white, and I'm just going to go ahead and mix in a tiny bit of gray. So you can see that's what it ends up looking like, kind of shaded and not too bright white. Now what I'm going to do is remove the masking and then start to chip it. So time for some chipping. Just need some water, a stiff bristle toothbrush. In the past I had made little extra fine brushes just by epoxying some bristles from this toothbrush actually into this piece of brass rod, but it kind of wore out kind of quickly, and that's better for very fine control. What I want to try to do this time is avoid getting the brush where there is gray to try to prevent some of that from chipping. Just want to kind of go ahead and start to soak pieces, and this will activate the chipping fluid that's underneath the paint. And it takes a little bit for the water to kind of soak through the paint to get to the chipping fluid. And if you notice, I'm kind of avoiding the gray spots. You kind of see like a soapy effect forming, and that's the fluid kind of activating. Just take my time, no rush. So here is the finished result after all the chipping. To really avoid the gray parts, what I did was I came in with the tweezers here and just kind of lightly scraped, not like digging into the paint, but just kind of lightly micking at it to create little scratches and stuff. And I got the arms over here all finished up. So these are kind of going to be put aside for now. I think I'm going to put a good gloss coat over these to protect them, and then mask it off, and then start to assemble everything here to get rid of the seam line. That's going to take a bit of work, so I'm going to probably cut the video here. So one thing I did do, normally you would snap these two halves into place on that peg there, but what I did was I actually just cut those pegs off. So now this will actually just kind of fit into place like that, so I don't need to worry about color separation or masking or anything. So I can paint this separately and then just attach it on later with some epoxy, and that'll just make things a bit easier. Alright, so I actually lied. I ended up finishing these parts before I finished editing this video. As you can see, the pieces are pretty glossy right now. I just barely put a good gloss coat on them. I probably should be careful not to get any fingerprints on this. The next step for this is to start to weather it, just doing all my washes and streaking and stuff, and then hit it with a flat coat. But yeah, this is what it's looking like. I went with a medium blue here, and it looks kind of weird with the red, but I really like the back side here. I mean, it's kind of the red that kind of looks weird up on the front side. We've got some of the arm finished here, cleaning up the rest of the arm and shoulder parts, so I'll get those finished up soon. And then it's just continuing on through this kit. It's going to be a very slow build because there's a lot of seam lines to remove. I mean, everything has a seam line, basically. I also can't do chipping on too many parts at one time. I'll have to paint like parts separately. Like this leg here is probably the most I could do in one sitting, and this is like 2 nights worth of work to kind of paint this whole thing and chip it and everything, because it's just very slow and tedious. I'm just going to continue to work through this kit. I probably should have done some modifications to it, just added some sort of parts and pieces to give it a little more detail. What I thought of doing was using this mesh here, like cutting this out and putting the mesh in there, but that probably wouldn't have looked so great. It'd be pretty easy to add some details into this kit, so I'm going to try to do that a little bit. I get the ambition. So remember to check out Camo masks on Facebook. The pattern I'm using here, this winter camo, is now available. Payments are secure and easy with PayPal, so your purchases are protected, and I do ship internationally, so definitely check out Camo masks. With that, guys, I'm going to end the video, and I'll try to do another one soon, but we'll see how far I can get with this kit and how long it takes me. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.